Hey there, this is Mark, and I want to congratulate you for publishing your Simpleology project. We've got one last, but really important thing for you to do before we can get your Simpleology project in the Simpleology Project marketplace, and that is to create your listing. Now, don't feel too daunted by this. Why? Because I've distilled down pretty much everything you're going to need to know into some really concise and powerful tooltips right here that you'll see next to each of these items. We have thoughts on pricing philosophy, thoughts on how to write bullets very effectively, thoughts on how to create an effective title. It's all right there. Now, I'm going to give you a really quick impromptu walkthrough of what you're going to see here, and what you see in this video may be a little bit different from what you see on the screen. Why? Because we're constantly iterating everything up at Simpleology very fast. But let me give you a quick impromptu walkthrough because I want to get you into reading these tooltips as fast as possible. That's where all the real juice is. But one quick tip before you get there: don't overthink this stuff. Trust your first instinct. If you don't really know much about copywriting, read these tooltips, see what comes up, write the listing, and publish it. Get it out there and see what happens. This is fun. It's an experiment. It's a game. If you overthink it, you're not going to get it out there. And of course, nothing is possible if you don't complete it. So get in there, do the best you can, bite the bullet as they say, press the publish button, and get ready to go. Okay, so here we go. The first thing you're going to look at is the category section. Now, these categories are probably going to evolve and change over time. Don't overthink this too much. There is no way we can get these categories perfect, but they are interesting to have, right? Because people are going to browse through the categories, and if your listing does appear in a better targeted category, people are going to be more likely to find it, or more relevant people are more likely to find it. Now, what's even more important than the category is the project title. Why? Because the same philosophy here applies to the headline of a sales letter. If you can't get people to read past the headline, it doesn't matter how great the rest of your sales copy is, they're just not going to read it. Right? So write this in a way that's really intriguing and appropriately calls out to your target market. And again, we've got a tooltip here that is going to give you some really powerful advice, some distilled wisdom, again, of decades, if not centuries, of copywriting knowledge into a tiny, concise little bit of information that will help you get the most powerful salient points very quickly. Same thing for the product description and for the bullet points. Really pay attention to these bullet points, by the way. There's a lot of fun you can have in writing really great bullet points. And again, in this tooltip here, there's some information about what are called fascinations. It's a really powerful way to write bullets. So get that right, but don't overthink it. Get it done. That's even more important than getting it right. So now right here, it says, what result can the user expect on completion of the project? If they can't expect a result, maybe it isn't really a Simpleology project, right? A Simpleology project is it's a process, it's a system, it's a series of steps that people can go through to get to a specific end result. It would be really good for people to know what that is. Now, we're going to probably be using this in different ways as the Simpleology Project marketplace evolves and grows. Now, the next thing here is kind of subtle. Is this a hard or a soft result? Again, don't overthink this too much. If you're not sure, just pick whichever one you think is appropriate. This is something we're experimenting with here. We're going to see how useful this is to the users. Now, here's another question that's really interesting. What problem does this project solve for the user? If it's not solving a problem, maybe it's not going to sell too well because people like to get solutions to problems. But it would be really good for your user to know what that is. Obviously, suitability for children. We're going to filter results out that are not suitable for children from the standard listings. People will have to go in and look for adult titles, and you don't want to expose somebody's children to stuff that's infected. Now, here it says, sell discounted copies of my project in the Simpleology Project Marketplace promotions. I would strongly recommend that you check this and that you even go as high as 75%. Why? Because that is going to give us more opportunities to get you more exposure. Strongly recommend that you check this and that you take the highest percentage there at 75%, because the more leeway you give us to use your Simpleology project and the Simpleology Project marketplace creatively, the more we're going to make it show up for you and upsells and all kinds of really fun stuff that we're going to be doing over time. Now, for your price here, read this tooltip to read a more in-depth discussion of what I think is appropriate, but don't be afraid to price it too low and don't be afraid to price it too high. Sometimes a higher price tag communicates higher value. And if you really are delivering that higher value, and I certainly hope you are if you're going to charge a higher price, then maybe a higher price is going to get you a better result. But then sometimes a lower price works better as well. You just have to experiment with these things and play around. And again, I hope that you don't do just one Simpleology project in the Simpleology Project Marketplace. I hope you do many Simpleology projects, and I hope that you have fun with this and experiment, because this is a really cool ecosystem that we're building here. And if you have any questions, you can always go to support.simpleology.com. The guys are standing by there to help you out and to answer your questions, and I really look forward to seeing what your creativity brings to this really wonderful community or ecosystem that we're building here together. And I hope that we can make you, as a Simpleology Project author, a lot of money. And that's going to happen the more you get in there and participate. The more you experiment, the more Simpleology projects you produce, the more you get actively engaged in spreading the word about your Simpleology project. That is going to help you make more and more money.